play
So.
You're going to play, Peter?
Well, if you know it, whatever.
We play Colin Fadrick's Fisherman's Hornpipe. No,
Yeah, that's alright.
this is a tune. Colin McAloon from Crows, he was a great dancer. He won the Ulster champion in his time. And it's Mickey Doherty that he took to play for him. Not John, he refused John because Mickey had better timing, he said. So this is a tune, the Fisherman's Hornpipe.
The master of his voice.
That's the Fisherman.
Ah, excellent.
Aye.
That was a fisherman, was it?
Fisherman Hornpipe.
Fisherman's horn.
Colin McAloon, that was two great dancers he had, Maggie Pickey and the Fisherman's Hornpipe. And he was a great dancer. Maggie Pickey, he had 26 steps in it. And he had a step in it, I remember, the swag step. He used to come around like this. The swag step.
Yeah.
He was a great dancer. But there was one time people from RTE came down to record him in Crows. But it was all clay floors and flat floors, so they wanted the timing. So they asked next door to the man, could they borrow the half door? And he says, you will not indeed, to rack my half door, he said. But eventually they got the half door, and I heard that recording since, and you'd think it's a drum. His steps is beautiful, absolutely.
Without the music, you can hear the tune.
You can hear the tune, you can hear the Maggie Pickey.
Dancing on the half door.
Yeah.
Was that on the radio?
Through radio, because there was no
Would that be on
television.
the internet?
That would be on the internet, I'm
It
sure.
was on the CD.
Was it on the Mickey Doherty CD or no?
It's on Mickey Doherty's CD.
Yeah.
Oh, there's two tapes he does.
Yeah.
Maybe they put it on CD now.
Yeah, there's a triple CD now.
But you listened to the
Irish
steps
Box,
she's
yeah.
doing, and he wasn't a young man then, you know.
Oh, I have that.
That's a free CD thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
That's not
listening
Frank
to that.
Cassidy, is it? Because they did a 3 thing of him, but...
Thanks, we are here in Jimmy Campbell's kitchen. This is our new series for Gypsy Wagon TV, Jimmy Campbell's kitchen, the Donegal kitchen series, that's what it's called, isn't it?
Something like it.
Something like that. And first series went Jimmy Campbell's kitchen, because the kitchen, that's where everything happens in Donegal. The songs, the stories, the tunes,
Yes.
And the eating and everything.
And you know,
And the legs.
not a lot of eating, but there's a lot of drinking.
Yeah. And do you have many memories from growing up in your kitchen at home?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because in the winter time in our kitchen, or at night, the ramblers, the rakers, we call them around here.
Yeah.
But I remember in the evening in the winter time, myself and Gordis, Vincey would come home from school, Charlie, we had our dinner, but everyone had a job to do. We had to put in, we had to put in the chickens. We had to, there was 3 cows, we had to milk the cows and take in the water. There was no water in the house that time.
No.
Take in a bucket of water for the night from the well, spring well, and all them little things.
In the turf.
Oh, the turf had to be taken in, and that was all done. Then, when all that was done, my father would go out then and fodder the cattle for the night,
Yeah.
and the calves and all that. And you lock up the byre then and all in. And then my mother would make a thing, they used to call it the taymore, the big tea. It's a
Yeah.
big pandy. There was 6, 7 of us, and we'd eat. And my mother, the bread that time, homemade bread, it was like the wheel of a batter,
Oh yeah.
you know, big, and a big print of butter.
And was that made over the fire or on the range?
But no,
or
no, in a pan,
in the pan?
because she made it and put it into the pan, hanging on the fire,
On the
and
fire,
then she
yeah.
put the coals on top of the lid as well.
Right.
So the top and the bottom was done. But then we would eat that then, and then my mother would sweep up the floor, because the rakers would be in. And we'd always sit around quietly until the latch would go. And if that latch didn't go, it was a very lonely night.
Oh yeah.
And that's the way I was reared up.
No
And then-
news.
But
If the last didn't go, you had no fucking news.
But then, my mother hated the first half of the night, because all that came in, it would be about hay, the price of cattle, everything else like that, you know, which was right.
Yeah.
But then she would make the tea about 10 o'clock. And then my father would take down the fiddle. And there was always a few girls, young people there, you know, like Bridget James and all them, used to come raking as well. And then they would start dancing. And my mother, she loved learning the old dances and all that. And that's the way it was for us. But nobody stayed past 12 o'clock.
And did your mother dance? Did she? Did your mother dance?
She did in her day.
Yeah.
She loved dancing. All of them, Anna McAloon to her sister, all of them loved dancing.
Yeah.
And they had all the steps and everything. But the poor mother couldn't dance because her hips. Yeah, at a young age too. But she used to show them how to do it. So that's the way I was brought up. And then seeing all of us, you know. And it wasn't a bad way really.
No.
No. It was lovely. When I look back at it, I was very lucky that way.
Yeah. And when did you start playing the fiddle then?
Peter.
Oh, me?
No. When did you start playing?
Oh, aye.
You was on saying.
Well,
Peter doesn't know when you started playing the fiddle.
That's for certain.
yeah, but the fiddle was hanging over the table on the house, hanging over on a knob that was sticking out.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want us to go near it
Oh, no.
when he was out, and we couldn't reach it. He was dedicated to Irish music. He loved it, but he didn't want us to go near the fiddle.
Because you
Of course,
break it.
we break it, and he was right, you know. The fiddle's very delicate. But at night then he would take it down. I remember well, we would have the tea in the evening when everything was done, and he'd get up and he'd just catch. And when he used to do that, our heart would go off
Yeah.
because we knew there's a future. But then,
What sort of tunes would he have played there, I wonder?
oh, Thursday Mackey's and all them, and
Oh,
yeah.
All common stuff.
yeah, that sort of stuff, you know.
Not.
All the Highlands and all that sort of stuff of the very old stuff, really, you know. The Calini and all them things. But then,
Yeah.
that sort of. But anyway, then he used to, then when I was getting older, he started, I never forget it, he used to catch my finger and put them on, and I never forget, the first tune he learned me was the Keeler.
Yeah.
And he used to get my finger and put them down on the string and draw the bow. Never forget that.
Do you want to play that now?
I'll try it.
Yeah.
I think I again, I forget.
Yeah, we'll all play together, you know.
Yeah.
That's the Keeler.
Beautiful.
That's the first tune I ever learned.
Yeah.
I made a bad job with it now, and I made a bad job with then.
Right, quite good.
But that's the first tune I learned.
Where does that name come from, Keeler? Where is there a place name? Somewhere?
Keeler must be Scotland.
Must be,
Must be Scotland.
Keeler.
Aye. We didn't care where the name come from as long as we had a tune. And you were the same. But it's nice to have the names. Nice to have the names.
Oh, was there many songs sung as well, like in those nights?
Every night there was
Yeah.
people sang the songs.
Yeah.
Singers coming in as well. Oh yeah. And everybody that had songs that time.
Yeah.
You see, it's the same. That's why I still like it. When we're in Denny's now, and it's
Yeah.
all music, I like to call in a singer and a couple of songs. It breaks it up. That's the
does.
way we were
Yeah.
brought up at Raking house.
Yeah.
Because always my father would call. I had one brother, sing us a wee song. And there were some good singers going that time too. Yeah.
And do you remember any of those songs? Yeah.
No. We were all mad about music that time, just,
Yeah.
well, you know, so. You know what ruined us? Me, and maybe Vincy too, immigration. Once we went away, we were way young, 19, and that was the end of that then. If we didn't have to go away, that we were, maybe we'd be worse today, I don't know. but we would be, I think we would be a bit better at music and songs and all that. But then I was waiting down to Scotland towns, and I had no fiddle or nothing for years, ages and all that. But that's the way it went.
So your master told you that, didn't he?
Huh?
Your master told you that at school. What's it? He told you.
He said, if you don't learn, I can see us up in Scotland, he says, with the sweat coming out on top of your Wellingtons.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing to say.
Lovely.
Bastard.
I hope his family isn't watching this.
His sons are still about.
He wasn't far fucking rock.
He didn't have to tell us.
Keep that secret.
I tell you, we survived anyway.
Yeah.
But my oldest brother always said, you know, he always believed in religion, you know. He says, you know, Jimmy, there's a lot to be said for it. When you were all away, he was the last to go. Every night, before my mother went to bed, she used to go down. The holy water font was at the bottom of the kitchen. She'd be there for about 5 minutes, shaking holy water for us. And the bottom of the floor, he says, was all wet. And you know what, Jimmy, he says, yes, all came home when they had But that's his faith and belief, you know.
That's right. Yeah.
And love for us, you know.
Yeah.
You know. But it's lovely things to think of, you know.
Ah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Aye.
Because you've had many a party here in this kitchen as well, haven't we?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it's all about.
It is.
And years ago, they had parties and they were working very hard, and they had to
Yeah.
go. But the parties was always in the winter time, long nights,
Aye, of course. Yeah.
long nights, and that's what they had. And then they would do in the Christmas time. The mummers would come around. We used to be waiting for them.
Yeah.
My father used to put us up. The mummers would come around and knock on the door. Mummers, mummers, I thought, and he would hold on a minute. Do local people.
Yeah.
He said, hold on a minute, and he gets us all out of bed, wake us all up. We come down to listen to the mummers.
That was St. Stephen's Day, was it?
No,
Or just right?
Christmas time.
Oh,
before
time.
Christmas.
Before Christmas as well, yeah.
Aye, before Christmas.
All right.
Aye. St. Stephen's Day, they used to have a thing called the Wren Boys up the country.
Yeah.
But it was Christmas time, and it was something to do with Mum. But we used to love it, you know. We should have listened. Remember, here comes Dr. John, Dr. Brown. You know, he would come in and it was a play.
Mm.
There would be about 7 of them there, and in the middle of them, and we were watching this, and he'd get this bottle of medicine, and he'd put it in, and we thought he was a great doctor. He cured them. It's innocency. Aye. And you wouldn't know them at all, because there was straw things on them, and all covered. And then afterwards, maybe our house was the last, and my father says, there's a suppology there. Let's have a drop of tea, boys. And they would sit to get off and sit, and they all would have tea in the kitchen. My mother would have the tea, slice of bread,
Yeah.
and homemade butter.
Oh yeah, she made the butter as well, did she?
Oh yeah, she made, oh Jesus, yeah.
Yeah.
Many's the time, the churning. And we all had, nearly always kind of Saturday morning, the churning was done. Down in the back room, there was a back room in our house, a very cold room. Oh jeez, it would freeze you. And that's where she used to keep the milk, water we could. See, I get lost on Gilly Quarries, you know. The cream, you know the cream,
Yeah.
and this big thick cream. And on a Saturday always, that would be into the churn. The churn would be outside, it would be scalded and everything. The letch was out on the edge, the sun, all pure white and all that. And then we, on our turn, my father and all, but it was one of them, not the trusted one.
All right.
You know,
Yeah.
Dash turn.
Dash.
Yeah.
We call it lunny. You know, lunny. See, I forget them. Dash, you're dead right. And then, when that was done, then sometimes you put a little bit of hot water to it
Oh yeah.
to start it off.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Mm.
And then, when that was done, then you see the butter all on top, and she lifted it all off, and took all the water out of it and all that stuff. And then they had little spades. I don't know what you call them.
The spoons or whatever.
Yeah, spades. There was little lines in it, wooden things.
Yeah.
And she'd make a big print of that.
The name on them, I remember them.
But mix it with salt. You remember it?
Yeah, used little lines in the bottom, in the ribs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, Peter was over with me when he was young, so he seen all them things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I never saw the
Oh, did you not?
only the.
Oh, they got that afterwards.
No, there was
Yeah. Because my mother then,
We used to love doing that. Like,
my mother then, see, she could sit, because she couldn't walk, she could sit away and do that. She could do that.
Yeah. That's fantastic, like, so the
But you know-
homemade bread, homemade butter,
Everything was homemade.
big pot of tea.
Yeah. Even when we were sick and all that, carrick and moss,
Oh yeah.
carrick and moss,
Nice.
and all them sort of things. And then it was all, later on, myself and Vincy, every evening after school, we fishing. And my mother hated us going fishing because she was afraid of the river. And the fishing rods we had, we used to watch these rods in the wood that was nice for fishing rod.
Yeah.
And then the line, she used to hit it too. We used to steal this, there was a lot of sewing that time. And you know the spool my mother had, we used to take that thread and put 6 of them together. And my father, that time, when I think of it now, I'm talking too much.
No.
When I think of that time, my father, every house used to fix shoes. you know, repair
Yeah.
shoes for the family. And he had this black wax for when he sewed the shoes.
Yeah.
So we used to use that to put 6 threads together.
Right.
And then that was our line. But we couldn't we couldn't pay for a hook.
Yeah.
So we made our own hook out of a 70 pen. And believe it or not, you mightn't believe me, now Paddy won't believe me, but we got
Dirty Paddy.
Paddy, we got a salmon one Saturday, myself and Eva. That's the truth, God,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yourself and Vincent.
Myself and Vince.
I can't believe that.
Well, I know well they wouldn't, but that's the truth,
And
God.
which river did you fish?
Just below
The O'Neill.
O'Neill.
Below the house.
below our own house. And this place was a level home into it. And
Yeah.
it was full of herrings, all herrings.
Oh yeah.
So we weren't bare feet that time, you know. So this thing hooked and I just pulled it in, and just as it come to the bank, the hook straightened out. And the salmon, and Vincy gave it a kick and away over into the ferns. And we could see the ferns going. You won't see the excitement in it. It's the biggest excitement ever I had in my life.
Really?
And we went up to our mother, and you want to see the excitement. We got a salmon at our age, but with remember Burke? Oh, you were
John Burke.
John, he was a great fisherman. He never caught a salmon.
No.
Owned Irish Club in Salt. I was telling that
You
story.
made that clock up there.
Aye, that's the man
Oh,
that
yeah.
made that clock.
And the timber out of that clock, not going away from the story, that came out of Windsor Castle.
That's correct.
Really?
Because he worked in Windsor Castle, and he used to take the old timber that's scrap.
Did they know he took that wood out of the
I don't know, he never told us that.
But you know, he was pushed out afterwards.
Oh really? That must
They
have
found
been-
out he was from the wrong part of Belfast.
And you stay under wood.
That clock was in Windsor Castle.
Well, the timber was.
Timber was.
Ah, well,
Yeah.
especially the clock.
He was a great carpenter, but the timber is from Windsor. He done it because he came here with Pat Campbell, and I knew well in England anyway. And Pat was going away, so and he
But
stayed.
I would say that's a quite happy clock now, where it's at now than where it fucking was.
But he stayed here, Burke, for a few nights, and he sent that afterwards over to Yvonne as a souvenir to or a gift to her.
Thank you.
And I'm very proud of that, you know.
And if Queen Elizabeth is watching this video,
Yes.
before you send the authorities to get the clock, could you please subscribe to our channel? Oh, it's great to hear Jimmy and Jimmy Campbell's kitchen. And it's great to hear those stories about your growing up, and but your kitchen is also this great hub of tradition, and where you've inspired your own son with these stories and these traditions, and
Oh, thank you
passed
very
on
much.
these. Sorry.
Thanks very much.
And my daughter as well, and you inspired her as well to write a tune about Jimmy Campbell's kitchen. Do you want to introduce this tune that Fiona wrote?
Do you know, I would love to hear her playing that tune. I heard it before, and I admired her, the way she composed it, because there's not a note of any other tune on the tune. So please, Fiona, would you play that for me?
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you. You know that. We know one another for a long time, since you were that height.
Yeah.
And you were always giving me presents. There's one of them still up there.
That's right.
Yeah. Up on the wall. I'm very proud of that. And play that little
And
tune.
you've given her lots of tunes and according to Ray Mooney, Fiona plays in the Campbell style. And she got that from you and from Peter as well, you know, playing together, you know.
Maybe it's a bad thing, I do not know.
And this has all happened in another place as well, in Jimmy Campbell's kitchen. And is there a tune after Jimmy Campbell's kitchen? What's the other tune?
Peggy's ass.
Peggy's Ass. There you go. There's definitely a story there, is there?
Go from bad to worse.
There's definitely a story there.
Well, we'll tell that stuff. Well, I'll tell you how Peggy's ass came about. I told her about a man up Minavale. I knew him well. Dan McDevitt was his name, a very nice man, very fond of music, and he was a singer. But he used to do the weather forecast sometimes. And there was a waterfall just up the road from the bridge up here. And there used to be a woman that time, Peggy was living down beside it. And we called it Peggy's Ass, because ass is assa in Gaelic. It's all Gaelic that was going that time. Assa is the Gaelic for waterfall. And he used to say, I wonder what colour is Peggy's ass this morning? Because if it was yellow, bad weather, and it was white, it was good weather on the way. So I told this one here, Fiona, and she made a tune of it next day. So that's it now. I'm not going to tell you any no bad stories. So she's going to play the two of them.
Yeah.
You don't mind?
No, I don't.
Here's Jimmy Campbell's kitchen. All the crack is having.
The first one was Jimmy Campbell's kitchen,
Yeah.
and the second was Peggy's Ass.
Yeah.
How can you introduce that on the stage?
Well, Marie Mooney loved it, didn't they?
Oh, she laughed. She really enjoyed that. That's what I said about Marie Mooney. She's really down to earth. She loves it.
Right.
I love her because she's just. She never left the place, and she went all over the world, but she never got big-headed or anything. I love her very much,
Yeah.
and a great musician as well. Yeah.
But the wilder the better, like, you know.
Oh, the wilder the better.
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
She went all over the world and took Donegal with her.
I'd get back to it. I'd get back. I'd take the word of her.
And she took the world back to Donegal too.
She did, absolutely. She put Donegal on the map too. My God.
But you've written a lovely tune as well, Jack in the Tavern.
I know it's a bit of a. Fiona said there's a load of rubbish.
Don't be hiding your life behind a bush or under a bush. There's a story behind this as well. There's always a story behind every tune, isn't there? Yeah.
One Sunday evening I was in there, got the fiddle, and I put these sort of notes together. I don't know did I put them together or not, but could be, it's like other tunes too, but didn't matter. I put it together anyway, and I went down to Denny's as I always do. It was a Saturday evening, and I went into Denny's, and there was a man in there. He's a Dublin man like yourself. What do you call him there?
Tommy Flannery.
Tommy Flannery. And Tommy was a good character too. And I played that just for the crack. It was only a couple in, it was early in the evening. And Tommy said at the bar, Jimmy, what name's it? I says, I'm only after making it up this evening. He said, no. He says, call it the Jack in the Tavern. Because Dublin people, you don't mind, it's called Jackines. And he said the Jack in the Taverns. So that was all right. I played it and forgot all about playing rubber. But then somebody came in, Kevin McGee, and he wrote the notes all down and put a frame and put it up on the wall one day. But embedded at that then, Peter will tell you the story.
Oh, that was one night. He was very proud of the tune and everything, and that was alright. But I was just after Glen Fiddle week, and we met everybody out there, but it so happened that this Japanese girl was over, and she came into Denny's this night.
Good for it.
And, oh, she's a great fiddle player. But I was chatting to her at the bar about Glen and everything, all the crack we had and all that, the tunes and blah, blah, blah. But she had a fiddle in her hand. And I seen him behind me. And I said, I knew she read music.
Oh, right down.
She could sight read. I said, see that tune on the wall over there? She looked, yeah. I said, can you play that? I said, can you see it right? Hold on, she said, she started playing. Well, she didn't get in, 3 bars into it and gone. He cocked up, hey, where'd she get that tune?
I thought I didn't compose it. I was funded down the bar.
Intellectual property, right?
I was well surprised. A Japanese girl playing my tune.
You never know.
Anyway, will we play it? Do you want to play it in my own or not? Oh, we will.
So you told me, you know that recording you said of when you were down in Sligo?
Yeah.
You played that tune, and he was just, oh my God, she plays exactly like me. So you two play away, no, right.
Play away.
Go on, go on.
That was all right, wasn't it? Yeah. But when you played that in Sligo, honest to God, it was...
I thought he was going to cry.
No, it was beautiful, absolutely. But you put every note exact the way I played it.
Yeah.
And maybe it's all wrong, but it didn't matter. I loved it, I remember that.
That's some great crack tonight, hey?
Well, it's all right.
Alright.
There's some great tunes, some great songs.
What about Paddy?
A song, we haven't had a song, have we?
Paddy,
No, well, where would you get a singer around
You
here?
know the song, you know the song
you
you
get a
sing?
singer now.
You know the song you sing, Jimmy? The song you sing,
Leaving Donegal.
Leaving Donegal. Modesty again.
Down chest is going and the age is there and
Shoulders sore.
shoulder, well that's the old age, see. When you you're 70, 84, you won't be so motivated. I'll try it because my chest gets cocked up away. Oh, Donegal, the pride of all, my heart still turns to thee. My cottage home that I often roamed when I was young and free. Big houses grand in a foreign land could not compare at all to my cottage bride on a winter's night on the hills of Donegal. When gazing back to right well I mind in the harvest time and the doleful dreary days, when leaving all in Donegal to wander far away. In Creesla town my friends stood round, so I bid farewell to all, and from the stand so I bid farewell to the hills of Donegal. When gazing back to Barney's Gap at my own dear native hills, I thought no shame or who would blame, 'twas there I cried my fill. My parents kind ran in my mind, my friends and comrades all, so my heart did ache, I was sure 'twould break when leaving Donegal. I'm not going to sing it. I'm in a very bad job.
Oh, that's great.
Who cares this?
Thank you, Jimmy.
Paddy just crossed it there.
Thank you for the hospitality and the songs, the stories.
Oh, but we're going to have an interview.
No, it's about your kitchen tonight, Jimmy.
Oh, I get you now. So you have to make a big night the next night. Aye.
Thank you, Jimmy. That was Jimmy Campbell's Kitchen, starring Jimmy Campbell, Peter Campbell, Fiona Campbell, and Henry Campbell, maybe. And Paddy Toy in the back here, offering advice and some cheer.
Yeah.
And you.
And me, oh yeah.
Listen,
I'm joking.
did you enjoy the night?
Oh, it was great.
But
Great.
we have this often, you know, we have these parties here, and up in your house we had some great nights as
Oh,
well.
brilliant.
We can't forget that. And then what about Graffy Bridge, the
Oh, that was
crossroads,
fantastic.
when we used to put, it was so hot, we had a very hot summer, when we used to put the bottles of lager and the cans down in the river under the bridge to keep cool for us.
Yeah.
Even Mark McGinley and his, Mike came all the way down from Rappo.